everyone, my name is Amber and I work for the SUSU Community Farm, and today I'm going to show you some of the things that we're growing. And this year we're growing food at our friend's farm, the Retreat Farm, and you might know them from Carlos and Sassy. And so some of the things we're growing are, this is Alabama collard greens. And we also have some onions, some baby onions growing. And they're outside right now so they can do something that's called hardening off, where they get used to the cool weather before they go get planted in the ground. And we also have some kale here, some Siberian kale. And this is the greenhouse where we grow our little baby plants so they can be nice and warm. And so we grow plants in the greenhouse because it creates a really warm space that brings a lot of sunlight so the plants don't get too cold at this time of year. And right here we have some really big Paul Robeson tomato plants growing, and you can see the little flowers. That means a tomato is going to come out right where the flower is. Roosters. And these are za'atar plants. So these are a special kind of spice that you can put on your food. And then we have some habanero peppers. We have some more kale. These are little baby kales, kind of like the kale we saw outside, but these are a baby version. We have some cantaloupes, and these are little baby eggplants. And these are more Alabama collards, also like the ones I showed you outside, but a baby version. And sugar snap peas. This is Ethiopian basil. And these are tomato plants like the ones I just showed you, but these are baby ones, so they start out in these little trays. And we have some squashes, jalapeno peppers, and then here's some bigger basil, Ethiopian basil plants that are definitely ready to go outside. And then on this side we have all of the vegetables and flowers that the Retreat Farm is growing too. So now I'm going to show you where we plant our food from the greenhouse once it's ready to go in the ground. And to get there we have to go through this cow tunnel. Tunnels are really cool, and when you go through them you can sing songs and you can hear your echo, and we bring cows and goats and other animals through this tunnel so that they don't have to cross over the highway, which is right above us. We're going right underneath the road. And once we come out, you can't tell right now, but this whole area right here will be a pollinator garden, which will be filled with different plants for butterflies and hummingbirds and bumblebees, and there will be beautiful, beautiful flowers all along this path. Where we are going to be growing our food this year, and it looks like this is grass, but this is actually called a cover crop, and its name is winter rye. And so we plant cover crop over the ground before we planted it because these plants feed the soil with nutrients and minerals and all of the foods that are going to help create a really, really healthy soil for the plants to grow in. And then once the soil is done being cover cropped, it will look kind of like this soil over here. And then we will plant it. So I'm going to read one of my favorite stories to you today, and it's called All Around Us by Selena Gonzalez, illustrated by Adriana Garcia. And it's a story about how we often talk about a timeline of life, and we see it as a line, but in this story they're talking about really seeing the timeline of life in a circle. All around us. Grandpa says circles are all around us. We just have to look for them. He points to the rainbow that rises high in the sky. after a thundercloud has come. He traces the colorful arc with his hand and says, "Can you see? That's only half the circle." The rest of it is down below, in the earth, where water and light feed new life. That's the part we cannot see. But in my mind I try. Grandpa and I work side by side in the garden, planting flowers and pulling vegetables. We eat what we've grown, crunchy lettuce, sweet carrots, and spicy chilies. Grandpa saves the stems, leaves, and seeds to bury back in the ground. Here is another circle, he says. What we take from the earth, we return. He draws a big circle on his belly with his hand, and a little circle on mine, and says, "We even have circles inside." This makes me laugh. Grandpa and I take a walk around our neighborhood, where we find other circles, the sun, the clock, the bicycle wheels. We stare at the green and brown rings in each other's eyes for a long time, and then we laugh again. He's right. Circles are everywhere. "I'll show you one more important circle before the big round moon comes out," says Grandpa. We walk way back in our yard, and it's under a tall pecan tree. Grandpa seems sad when he sits here because this is where we bury the ashes of our ancestors. I don't remember them, but he does. Even our bodies return to the earth, he says, and pats the ground with his big hands. But that's only half of the circle. That's the part we cannot see. Finally, we walk to the front yard to water our smallest tree. Grandpa planted it for me on the day I was born, and everything that fed me while I grew in my mother's belly is buried at the roots. I love bringing water to the apple tree that is already taller than I am. Grandpa pats my head and says, "Do you see, my grandchild? We have new life with you." I am part of the circle too, the part we can see, just like a rainbow. The end.